To perform the midpoint rotation, you will need to cut out the regular triangle. Number the sides of the regular triangle 1, 2, and 3. Now we need to find the midpoint of side 1. We could find the midpoint by measuring side 1 and then dividing that measurement in half and finding the midpoint, or we could take our triangle and fold this vertex to this vertex, and where the crease is would be the midpoint. The midpoint of side 1 is this point right here. Put a point on the midpoint. Now on one side of the midpoint, draw an asymmetric shape. And cut that shape out. To perform the midpoint rotation, put your finger on the midpoint and take the piece that you cut out and rotate 180 degrees around that midpoint until the piece that you cut out lands back onto side 1. Make sure that you actually rotate this piece around. Don't just put the piece onto side 1. When you rotate the piece around the midpoint, it'll line up perfectly and both sides will be the gray side. Tape that piece onto side 1. The regular triangle tessellates the plane. When I perform this move, the midpoint rotation, this tile will still tessellate the plane. I'm going to tessellate around this vertex, so I'm going to trace my shape on the right side of my paper. Now if I'm going to tessellate around this vertex, I need to figure out how to get this piece, this tile, to line up in this space right here. In order to do that, I'm going to put my finger on the midpoint of side 1 and rotate it around. When I do that, this cutout piece fills in the space on the tile that I traced. Now I'm going to keep going around this vertex. Now I'm going to rotate this way. Now I'm going to need to rotate around the midpoint to get my tile to line back up. And then rotate. And then rotate around the midpoint, and my tile should fill in the empty gap. If you notice, when I perform this rotation, this tessellation, I create a big hexagon. And hexagons tessellate the plane. So I just repeat this pattern over and over again to tile the plane. The notation for a midpoint rotation. I started on side 1 and I ended on side 1. And I performed a rotation. So I'm going to draw a bent line. But to separate this from a vertex rotation, I'm going to put a midpoint on this line. I took the piece from side 1 and rotated it back onto side 1. Tape this tile to your paper.